So in a previous couple of videos, we set up a Radius server and we set up a VPN server using Windows Server. Now let's take a look at setting some network connection policies. So I'm going to go to Tools and find my network policy server right here. And in my network policy server, I can set some network connection policy or connection request policies and network policies. So I want to set a connection request policy. So I'm going to right click, and actually before I do, let me look at the current ones. Make this a little bit bigger. So here are my current policies, and I can look at a policy. I can right click and look at the properties of the policy and look at my conditions and my settings for that policy. Okay. And I have multiple ones here in specific processing order. So what'll happen is a policy will come into play when there's a connection request. It'll check in processing order. It will check the policies until it finds something that tells it you can allow this connection policy or this connection request. And if there's not, then it just falls off and it doesn't work. So you will sometimes want to manipulate this order, and you can just right click and move up or move down in processing order. So let's set a new connection policy. So I'm going to right click on my connection request policies, and I'm going to click on new. I'm going to put the policy name as temp because I'm not going to keep this. And I can specify the type of network access. So is it unspecified, remote desktop gateway, or remote access? So I'm going to do remote access. And then we can set our conditions, and here's where all of our conditions are. So we can set them based on username or connection properties or day and time restrictions or the Radius client properties, or you see there's a ton of different things here that we can do to set our policies. I'm going to set a day and time one. I'm not actually going to save this. I just want to show you some of the other settings. So I'm going to say Thursday and Friday connections are permitted. And okay. And then I can add additional properties as well. And then click next, and I can set my authentication. If this happens, how do I want them authenticated? Forward request to a Radius server group, and then I can set my Microsoft Routing remote access authentication servers or accounting servers. I can authenticate requests on this server, accept users without it, whatever. And then handful of other settings, authentication methods, and Radius attributes. And once I get everything set the way I want it, I'm going to go ahead and save it. I'll just delete it in a second. I can set my policy. And now my policy's in place. I can move it up in the processing order if I want to process it a little earlier. If I'm done with it, I can right click and delete my my request policy and eliminate it. So lots of different ways we can set requests. We can control them by everything that was in those condition settings. So we can set multiple conditions, and we can manage connection requests based on those policies. Now you'll notice there's a handful of them there are 3 of them that are predefined. And they're pretty straightforward. If you want to look at what those are, you can right click and go to properties. In fact, we were here just a minute ago, and you can edit, you can add, you can remove policies, whatever. Okay, so that's how you set your network connection policies. Now, again, this is for primarily using this as a VPN server, but you can also, these policies, this is for people coming in via VPN. So you can set these policies, if this is going to be your Radius server, you can set these policies for network access, even if you're using a different VPN gateway. So that can become kind of useful. Okay, there we go. We have an overview of network connection request policies, not network policies, connection request policies in the network policy server.